Shalom everyone, I'm Teresa. I've been to Israel many times, and I love the food there. Join me as I attempt to make some of my favorite dishes back at home. We'll learn, we'll have fun, we'll go back to the Bible, and if all goes well, we'll end up with something yummy to eat too.
Boker Tov, good morning. Let's make some breakfast. Like everywhere else in the world, you can get a variety of breakfasts in Israel, but I've got a special place in my heart for the Israeli breakfast. I love that it's a little bit of everything so that every bite is different and unique, and depending on where you are, the offerings will be different as well. It makes for a very exciting and nutritious way to start your day. But where did this style of breakfast come from? Well, we don't have to look very far. It was born from the communal dining halls of the early kibbutzim.
For the early settlers of the Holy Land, this meal was more than just putting fuel in your body for the day. Those who had come to live on a kibbutz often had a singular goal, but they came from different backgrounds and countries. They had to adapt to this new land together. They worked together, they lived together, they ate together. So, this meal was both biblically based and grounded in the cuisine of the area. At its heart, it's the working man's breakfast. The schedule on each kibbutz varied, but normally you'd have a light snack bright and early in the morning, work a few hours, and then sit down to this big meal before continuing on with your day. Another communal meal would be served later in the evening. A typical breakfast buffet would have been fairly simple, but with great variety. As time passed, this style of breakfast became imitated within private homes and then in modern hotels and restaurants. Of course, often in a more lavish fashion.
So what can you expect from a basic Israeli breakfast? Let's go over the elements. First off, no meat. A kosher Israeli breakfast is normally classified as a dairy meal. That said, you may see some kind of fish on the plate, usually tuna, because fish is considered neutral. You'll also see a variety of salads and sweet and salty dips and spreads, bread and pastries, and some form of egg, usually cooked to order. The most popular form of egg is an Israeli-style omelet. Fancier restaurants may even give you the option of having shakshuka. And we can't forget drinks. Remember, it's very important to stay hydrated in Israel. So you'll usually get a cold drink, which is some sort of juice, and a hot drink of choice, coffee or tea. Overall, this is a very nutritious and balanced as well as filling way to start your day, especially if you plan on walking around the city and exploring all the wonderful sights. So, let's put together our very own Israeli breakfast.
We'll start by working on our omelet. And we're going to make it the way my mom always orders it. With everything. I've got our 2 beaten eggs, and some onions, mushrooms, tomatoes, and herbs, all chopped small, because this is going to cook quickly.
And there we go, our fast Israeli-style omelet. Okay, let's arrange our Israeli breakfast. I've got a fun placemat here that is an old map of the world. You can see Jerusalem is at the center. First up, we've got our Israeli salad. We've got a bunch of different dips and spreads. We even got some tuna fish. We got some flatbread that I made. This is baba ganoush and tahini sauce. You can learn how to make that in one of our previous videos. And of course, we've got our omelet. I've added a little thing of plain yogurt and granola. Normally they use muesli, but I only had granola. I've got a carrot apple orange juice, which is what I usually order. And then I've got my tea. And there we go. That is our Israeli breakfast. What a spread. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to dig in. But before we do that, we've got to go to the Bible and see what it says about breakfast. If I'm honest, not much. But what it does say is worth thinking about. The word breakfast is mentioned specifically in John chapter 21, after the resurrection of Yeshua. The disciples are on the sea fishing. They're not being very successful. Yeshua hollers advice at them. They don't realize it's him, but he helps them catch a bunch of fish, and then he invites them to have breakfast with him right on the shore. By now they know who he is, and this is where Yeshua asks Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" This gives Peter, who earlier denied the Lord 3 times, the opportunity to repent, be forgiven, and again take on that calling that God has put on his life. A new beginning, if you will. And if we flip earlier in the Bible to the book of Exodus, chapter 16, we can see that God provides his people with manna, which they gather every morning, except for Shabbat, and this becomes their food for the day. And this miraculous provision sustains them. In a simple sense, these passages remind us that God is our provider. He is our creator, so he knows what we need. In a practical sense, we need food, especially when it comes to the food that will sustain us as we start a day. But even more than that, he knows what we spiritually need, and he is our provider for that as well. There's something very special about starting your day, not just with a nutritious, delicious meal, but also just starting your day with the Lord. To take each morning as a new beginning, to refocus your heart and your mind on him before you start the busyness of the day. To remember that Yeshua is the bread of life, the true bread of heaven that gives us life and life eternal. The Jewish people have a tradition. Every morning upon waking, they say a short, beautiful prayer called the Modeh Ani.
Moda ani lefanecha, melech chai vekayam, shehehezarta binishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha. I thank you, living and enduring King, for you have graciously returned my soul to me. Great is your faithfulness.
Why does God do this? Why does he give you your breath? Why does he give you a new day? Because he is faithful, and he still has something for you to do in this world. So we thank him for the gift of life, for the provisions he has given to sustain us physically and spiritually, and for the opportunity to walk with him and serve him in this life and beyond. So, Boker Tov, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day wherever God leads you. B'tayavon. Bye.